Let me go and play the question from One America's Chanel Ryan about the disinformation campaign coming from China. This is an important question.
OAN, please. OAN.
Mr. President, the Chinese officials are expressing some tones of discontent with how where the source of this virus has come from, and they're spinning some odd narratives. What are your response to the Chinese officials who are doing that, and have they signaled any kind of resistance to upcoming trade talks in response to how we're handling this virus?
No, we have our deal with China. They're going to be buying $250 billion worth of goods and $50 billion from our farmers, and it's a great deal for our country. It's about time somebody did that. And frankly, phase 2 will start negotiating. I did read one article, but I don't think that article was representative, certainly not in my conversations with President Xi. And they know where it came from. We all know where it came from.
We have to remember, he is, in being a wartime leader, and let's talk about FDR and Churchill, you've got Joseph Stalin, right, who's not your buddy. But if you don't have Joseph Stalin, you're not going to take down Hitler and Mussolini. So, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The CCP is clearly the enemy of the United States. She is a bad guy. But the president there is being a leader. And the fact that she, and we start off every show with, President Xi says the virus is a demon and we cannot allow that demon to hide. He understood the entire apparatus, and they're still on shaky ground, depends upon them stopping this virus. What happened, let's go back, we got a couple of minutes to do this. They've had a guy from you've seen it playing up in China now as they continue to press them, and this is not conspiracy theory, people, right? What Senator Cotton is saying, we need full and total disclosure. It's incumbent upon the CCP to open up everything about the P4 lab in Wuhan. We've got to get all this behind us because of finding a vaccine and finding a cure. Remember, the P4 lab was built because we still don't have no vaccines for SARS 17 or 16 years later. In doing that, this is not conspiracy theory. You've seen the Chinese state media start to tease out, well, in fact, if this thing, it turns out it didn't jump in the food market, which we now know patient zero is actually from November and didn't come from the wet market, that, this could be the CIA, this could be the Americans, this could be that's teased out in the Global Times and some of the other, Xinhua, some other things. Then you've got actually an official the other day that basically said it, that, hey, we think we're looking at alternatives, this may come from the American military. It was so bad, and I do wish President Trump had brought this up, that the State Department called the ambassador to the United States from China, who I don't trust that guy at all, right? He can change a $9 bill into threes, okay? They called him over to the State Department, which does not happen in the way the State Department rolls. You don't call the ambassador over for essentially a dressing down to say that is not acceptable. So we called the Chinese ambassador over. I thought the OAN question was great. President Trump's answer is equivalent to FDR and Churchill working with Stalin. He's not a great guy. He's a bad guy. And in fact, we're going to confront him after this, right? But we have an immediate problem that's in front of us. And we don't take it as an immediate problem. All the other stuff doesn't matter. So I think President Trump's trying to balance something that's quite important here. And